Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys. Nice and early as well. Thank you for joining.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Good to see
Hello.
everyone. Fantastic. Alison, hello. Good to see you.
Hi.
Deanna, lovely to have you with us. Alan, good to see you as well. Rosa, Nick, thank you for joining us. We're just going to
Hi.
wait a few more minutes for people. Got hello, Hamish. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us today. Fantastic. All right. Lots more attending. Oh, look, everyone's on time. Really, really good to see. Hi, everyone. Hello, Kate. Good to have you here. Well branded on the background as well. Excellent. Fantastic. All right. Hello, Priyanka. Hello, Pushka. Nice of you. Nice to have you guys here. We're just going to wait 1 or 2 more minutes while everyone continues to join. What I might get you guys to do is if you could please put into the chat box for me where you're dialing in from. So if you're in Melbourne, that would be great to know. If you're in a particular area of Melbourne, please share. If you're in the Philippines, like AC, I think AC might be the only one in the Philippines. Please share that too. And if you're in another state, I'd love to know where you guys are from. Amazing. All right, good to see. Lots of Melbournes. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining our Lunch and Learn, everybody. It is an absolute pleasure to have you guys join here with us. And I'm going to get started, as I do know everyone is always pressed for time, which is, I guess, why we need virtual assistants in our lives. But to kick us off, I might just ask you guys if you've got questions for me throughout the session, please either put that into that meeting chat box and I'll have a look throughout. Alternatively, at the end, I do have a slide for a question and answers to see if I can make anything a bit more practical for you guys. Now, to start us off, I do have some slides ready to go, so I will share my screen. And excellent. Always got to make sure we share the right screen. Okay. So I do like it when my webinars are interactive, and the reason for it is because sometimes when you're talking to like a really quiet room, you just feel like you just keep talking and talking and talking. And when you have that interaction, I feel like you guys cement your learning that little bit more. And my goal is for all of you guys to walk away with an action that you guys are able to implement today, whether that is through delegation to someone in your network already, in your business, in your life, or perhaps even a virtual assistant as well. So thank you so much for sharing in the chat box already where you guys are located. It would be helpful as well if I know some of the industries that you're working in. So if you could help me out by putting in there like the category of the business, if you're a family lawyer, if you're a plumber, electrician, if you're working in digital marketing, that would be really helpful for me. So I can tailor some of the information to your industries. Excellent. Family law, accounting, conveyancing. We have a cake artist here, Priyanka, one of our lovely clients. Conveyancing, digital marketing, manufacturing. Fantastic. As you can see, it is a huge variety. It doesn't matter if you're a product or a service. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today is going to hopefully be really applicable and practical as well. So I'm going to start by, I guess, introducing myself and my team. My name is Trisha and Mintrix is my business. We've been around for 5 years now, starting off in the business advisory space. And in February last year, we actually launched our virtual assistant services. We're 12 months in now. We've got a fantastic foundation and we're starting to scale into states as well. We've got Kate joining us today as well. Hello, Kate. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I have now. So excellent. Kate, where are you dialing in from today?
I'm from Mitcham, Victoria. So dialing in from Mitcham, Victoria. Yeah.
Amazing. And so Kate has joined our team to help out with a lot more of that client interaction work in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. I'm located in Thomastown, which is the northern suburbs of Melbourne. So we're looking to cover a wider geographic range in addition to servicing the clients we have in New South Wales and on the Gold Coast as well. Haven't broken into Brisbane yet. If you know any Brisbane referrals, we'd love to meet them. They seem to all be on the Gold Coast. Maybe that's where all the help needs to go. And on my team on the call as well is AC. AC is my assistant located in the Philippines. She joins in on a lot of my client meetings. And oh, Priyanka, am I a bit static for you? If anyone else is having issues, please drop that into the chat bot. Otherwise, keep going and see if we've got any other challenges as well. Now, I did upgrade my internet like last week to Telstra. Oh, phew, it's not me. So all good, guys. But any issues at all, please throw it into the chat box as I am having a look at that on my other screen. So we've got AC. She's in the Philippines. She comes to a lot of my team meetings with me, and this is the rest of my team. We are growing at the moment, and this group works directly for me in helping with a lot of my recruitment, onboarding, coaching of the virtual assistants, and ensuring that we're able to help all of our clients in terms of minor issues, communications, performance reviews. So think of us as a little bit of your HR department who is external that helps with a lot of those areas. Some of the minor things that we do as well is like, if it's your virtual assistant's birthday, if it's a milestone, they've hit 6 months in your business, we help celebrate those mini wins as well. Helps with a lot of that retention. So essentially that's what we do. A little bit more on our team as well. And if you want to scan the QR code, this will take you to our Instagram page, which you can see what we do. Now, everything that you see of mine online, whether it's my Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, is done by my VA team, and we've got an approval process. So I always make sure that have a look at that before it does go up. Now, AC is going to drop into the chat box here for me as well, a link to my a link to my LinkedIn. So if you're not already connected with me, I'd love to connect with you online. Having a look at all of our challenges at the moment and how I can actually help you guys in your business, I'd love to learn more about, I guess, everyone in this room. If you can drop into the chat box for me, it is going to be a bit more interactive today. So let's have a look at maybe, is there something that you guys are concerned about or tried to delegate in the past, but it might have felt a little bit frustrating in the past? Please share that here. So for me personally, when I first started my delegation journey 3 years ago with my first virtual assistant, I found that sometimes when I explain a certain task, I will have to explain it again. And when that did happen, I did find that it gets a bit challenging and frustrating in terms of that repetition. If you guys have a particular challenge, have a think about that. If you're feeling a little bit brave, feel free to drop that into the chat box so that I can give you some advice. But essentially, yeah, business owners are finding it challenging at times to be delegating. And today I want to be able to provide some detail around how we can help. So some of this, what I'd like to talk to you about is the following three. Like, have you guys had a situation where, you try to delegate a task, but then you find that that task might keep coming back to you as well, so that you've given someone something to do. It could be, hey, post 3 times a week on Instagram, or hey, go create this reel. And then they need to seek approval. So you find that it just keeps ending up back onto your plate. My recommendation here is, if this is one of your challenges, what you should do is, rather than delegating the task, maybe you can try to look at delegating that outcome. What it looks like to delegate an outcome is essentially to try to instead of saying one of my virtual assistant helps me order the coffee every Wednesday, but she'll check pricing and sales. She knows that Woolworths and Coles release their specials every Wednesday. So instead of saying, hey, can you check this and update me every single Wednesday, what I do is delegate the outcome. The outcome is I never run out of coffee in the office. Please ensure that I'm never running out of coffee in the office. And that outcome, it doesn't matter how she does it. It doesn't matter the number of time she has to check, the frequency, but it's just understanding what my expectations are to be able to help in the most efficient manner. If we have a look at the next dot point I've got here, it's if you're still the decision maker for everything as well, start to have a look at what areas in your business do you not have to decide on. Can you pre-decide on certain tasks? An example of this is I still have to decide when I still need to decide, for example, what I want to say and how I want to tackle each client challenge. However, I've got my team, especially AC, who can help me when it comes to, the phone rings and she just schedules things straight into my calendar. She knows that if it's an in-person meeting, I have to have a buffer time for a particular drive, or if it's online, that a 15-minute buffer might be sufficient. So it's understanding my preferences so that she can make certain micro decisions for me. Because as business owners, I mean, hands up, if you can, there's a little raise your hand thing here at the top of your screen on the left-hand side, was the top of my screen on the left-hand side. Yeah, raise your hand if you're making at least 5 decisions per week, 10 decisions per week, 20 decisions per week. Sounds a bit tiring, like all the choices that we have to make. So yeah, thank you for participating, guys. Like I said, it's always boring to talk to yourself and on the screen, so participation is fantastic. Thank you. So just reading comments as well here. So the biggest struggle with delegation is that a lot of your work is customized. And that is an excellent point. We all do individual work. That's what makes our businesses unique. That's what makes our businesses, I guess, our point of difference on why our clients choose us. It's customizable, the service that we tailor and deliver. But my advice to you here would be to standardize and streamline and have a look at, although something is customized, how could we potentially turn that into a standard process? Let me give you an example. Where you may have a, let's call it a, Priyanka, I know you are a cake artist. So where you may have clients request custom cakes, they're like, oh, I want my cake to be bluey, and then the other person wants their cake to be Mintrix branded. Every single cake you do is so unique and custom, and that's why customers choose you and come to you for your expertise in that space. But where we can start to systemize is every inquiry should have an inquiry form. An inquiry form should have a particular message that goes out saying, hey, I need a minimum of 3 things from you, your name, your email, your phone number, photos of what you have in mind, or ideas that you have, your data gathering. Through to your next standardized process, which is, how you're going to determine your quote. For project-based work, are you looking at a time component? Do you have your materials, your labor? We can start to build a process around your quoting, although each one is customized. You've got certain inputs that will be an hourly, a price on materials and parts, or to give you one quoted output. Alternatively, you could have different tiers, like 3 categories on how you're quoting to be able to streamline that process. If I look at any other trade, let's call it a plumber or an electrician. It's the exact same thing. It's just a different service offering. So a plumber and an electrician, you still have your labor, your parts, material, perhaps even freight. When I look at the digital marketing people, you don't have parts, but you still have labor. These are the inputs that will have an output. So that's how we customize that a little bit. In terms of delegating, if you're feeling like it's extra work, this is where we use tools like whether it's AI, chat GPTing, something that's quite repetitive. I personally use video recording quite often. So we can either screen record on our desktop using the snipping tool. And for those who aren't familiar, the snipping tool looks like this on a Windows. And if you didn't know, you can just toggle this to video and as opposed to photo, and you can screen record a video. That's a really good fast way to be able to give instruction. So if you're doing it yourself, you can screen record you doing it, and then you don't even have to explain it too much because someone else can watch you doing that. There are a lot of tips and tricks that we can provide so that delegation doesn't feel like that extra work. Okay. Now, let's have a very quick activity, guys, so that I can make sure everyone's still with us. Can you please have a think of maybe 5 tasks that you've done last week that maybe someone else could have done instead? And let's throw some ideas into the chat before I share some answers with you. So just drop into the chat box for me if you can, please. What are some of the things that you've done yourself last week, but maybe you actually didn't have to do it yourself? Pushka, excellent client onboarding process, especially if it's in the back end, collecting data, collecting information. Alison, yes, so conflict searches, that one might need a little bit more context. Perhaps it's trying to work out, if you're searching for the same articles and how can that be helpful for you? Definitely. Michael, yes, bookkeeping. I'm not a financy type brain. Actually, no, I quite like finance when I look at profit and loss. However, when it comes to the data entry of bookkeeping and things like that, like those are the sorts of things we can delegate, All right, let's have a look. Who else do we have? Yeah. Hamish, cooking, ironing, shopping, and washing. Yes, excellent. And I mean, today we don't even have to talk about the things in your business. Have a look at the things that are just taking up a lot of time. So thank you, Hamish. How do we find more time by having a look at some of those home duties that are our responsibilities but don't take up high level work? Rosa, opening files, client onboarding again, it was the same as the accountant earlier was talking about, all that data entry that needs to happen. Yes, Alison, onboarding clients. So yeah, onboarding clients seems to be a recurring. AIW design talking about social media. Yeah, social media is definitely an area that I find quite time consuming, just fiddling around with Canva, making it perfect. It's not aligned, it's not centered. All those things that used to cause me a lot of stress, but now can be delegated. Quote responses as well. Yeah, especially in terms of emails. So you can have a look at some different AI tools. I actually heard of one recently called, I think it's Fixer, spelled Fyxer. And that's one of the new ones that can help you. And it doesn't auto respond, it drafts a few of your responses for you. So yeah, quoting, sending out documents. Oh, Maya, talking to people. Yeah, me too. But this is the way you delegate that as well. You start to have people on your team to be able to do some of that business development work with you, so that you're still on the ground talking to people, but maybe some of that admin could be delegated, allowing you to talk to more people. And settlement congratulations calls. I think that's really good. However, you still want to be that person asking for that feedback and saying, hey, congratulations, thank you for choosing us. And by the way, do you have a referral for me? You know, those congratulation calls are a great way to get additional work in as well. So all in all, this is great. What can someone else do for you? So hopefully that, I guess, gives you a bit of ideas around these tasks or these outcomes that we could delegate. And one thing that I've been pushing a lot lately is rather than delegating the task, it's delegating the outcome. So imagine how great would it be if drafting emails were no longer your responsibility and an AI tool or someone else could do that for you. How great would it be if you don't have to be that person sending those invoices anymore or the dreaded call follow-ups? Spoke to a psychologist actually yesterday, not for my mental health, although I highly recommend for everyone's mental health, but I spoke to a psychologist who told me that it's always awkward making a phone call to a client saying, hey, you've got an outstanding invoice, but you're their psychologist. You know, it's keeping that separated so that accounts is essentially not your role as business owners. If we're doing the payment follow-ups, you'll find that clients can tend to, especially when it comes to allied health services, try to get a little bit more free advice, you know? So it's keeping that distinction. And many other tasks, lead generation, phone calls. If anyone has tried to call me and I'm in a meeting, you do get AC during business hours, so you can delegate that very easily. And then again, it's owning outcomes. So AC's task is not answer the phone. AC's task is to make sure that Trisha doesn't miss any calls and that any urgent calls are prioritized, whether she can help them or scheduled into my calendar. So many tasks that our not only virtual assistants, but AI tools and other people in your network can help you with. All right, so next let's have a chat about what business owners can expect delegation can do. In an ideal world, this is where we want to get to. You want less work on your plate. And what that means is by having less things that you're trying to juggle, and let's to be honest, in small business, this is firefighting. If you've got less work on your plate, you're going to find that you have more brain capacities. Instead of making all those small decisions, you can now have a look at that bigger picture, those bigger picture things. By having a look at more time for growth as well, you can have a look at things that are going to move your business forward. What is the 1% that sets you apart from your competition, that allows you to be better at what you do? Have more time for that. We want our business owners that we work with to have a business that runs without you. Because if you haven't heard it before, if you have a business that depends on you and relies on you being present and doing all those tasks, you don't have a business, you actually have just made a job for yourself. And we would love to see all the businesses on this screen that we work with as well. I want to see business owners to go on holiday, to have things that are happening in their business without you being there. If you didn't take a break over the Christmas period, what needs to change in your business to be able to take that break? And it all comes down to having that space to think clearly. If you are focused on the small things in business or in life, you don't have space to have a look at those bigger areas that are actually going to make a bigger difference and impact in your business and life. So where it normally breaks down, so now we've talked about essentially what you can delegate, some of the pitfalls, and you know, what it would look like if you were able to hand off all those tasks and all those outcomes. This is where delegation usually breaks. It's because, you know, you hand over a task without context. Has anyone ever spoken to or typed to ChatGPT? I mean, I talk to ChatGPT, but that's probably another webinar or another issue. So, you know, you're giving an instruction to ChatGPT, and it actually gives you the feedback that has absolutely nothing to do with what you've asked. If you guys haven't seen the recent caricatures on Facebook and Instagram lately of, hey, ChatGPT, create a cartoon or caricature of everything you know about me and all my job and all my business, and here's a photo of me. You know, if you have a look at some of those, if it doesn't have context, it's going to give you an incorrect outcome. It's the exact same way when you delegate to others. So where I see this happening in a virtual assistant context is a business owner says, hey, can you go create a business card? And the virtual assistant goes and picks a Canva template and tries to create this business card, but it's absolutely nothing like what you sort of had in mind. And that's because you need to essentially share a little bit more, like, hey, do this in like a white colored background. I want the logo on one side, and on the other side I want all the details. Maybe shoot me through like 3 designs that you have in mind before making those changes, so I can see if you're on the right track. You know, just providing a little bit more context or information goes a long way. Okay. Do we have anyone with a question in the room, guys? If you do have, I saw a couple of hands, but that might have been because I asked you guys to raise your hand. There's a couple of people, Alison, Rosa, or Michael. If you have a question, please take yourself off mute and share. Otherwise, please drop into the meeting chat as well. I am keeping an eye on that. So we've got a new message. When talking to ChatGPT, it's more that you lack the right context to frame your questions correctly. Excellent. So a quick tip when it comes to ChatGPT is to provide it a little bit more information. Like, this is my business, this is what I specialize in, and act as a social media manager and then create XYZ because the photo looks like this. That's going to give you a much better outcome as opposed to write a LinkedIn post for me. So by giving a bit more information, you get a better response, whether you're talking to ChatGPT, another AI, or a real human. Next, no clear processes or standard. This is where, you know, it's important to systemize things in your business. If you look at some of the biggest franchises in the world, McDonald's is one of them. They can operate that business model in any country in the world, in any culture, in any language. We need to make our business as streamlined as possible to allow it for growth. So if you're not sure where to start when it comes to processes, have a look at what you do on a recurring basis all the time and start to just write it down. So as an example, one of the first processes that I mapped in my business was how to create a sales process so I could delegate certain areas of it. The sales process looks like this. Someone makes an inquiry, that's step 1. Step 2, we make sure that meeting's booked in, reminders are sent, and if any pre-information needs to be shared, maybe step 3 is conduct that meeting following this process. Step 4 is if the client wants to proceed during the meeting, follow this process. If the client doesn't want to proceed, we then follow a different process on follow-up and rebooking. So every business will have a very similar process. You're just tweaking it a little bit to suit what you actually do in your business. And lastly, no defined boundaries for decisions. So where I find working with virtual assistants really helpful is where they know what is within their control of making that decision, as in AC knows she can just book into my calendar at any time because I've given her authority to do so within these boundaries. So that takes some of that decision away from me. My team know that before anything goes up on Instagram or LinkedIn, I get an alert 7 days in advance. Every week, I get this email of summarizing everything that's going to go up. So it saves me time. So they know that if there's any changes, they'll make that change before uploading. So that everyone sort of has those boundaries and knows what they can decide on and what someone else needs to decide on. Just being clear in communication, I think, is the main thing here. Now, what is the cost of that failed delegation? It's basically from a business point of view, you have bottlenecks where in a lot of cases, the business owner is the bottleneck. In other cases, you might find that decisions are a lot slower. They kind of get stuck a little bit. The way that I overcome that in my business is at the end of every day, I get a report on the things that someone's waiting on my decision for, and it's in red font. Green means good, yellow/orange means it's a work in progress, but red means that it's waiting on me, or that team member may need more instruction. And that all leads to perhaps missed opportunities in your business, which obviously we want to capture as much opportunity as possible. Moving on to our personal impact. This is where, business owners I'm seeing, if you're not delegating effectively, you're working longer hours. It's not unreasonable for some of the business owners that I know to be working 10, 12, 14 hours per day. And then it's like, I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to work on the weekend to catch up. But that has an impact on you ongoing. So how do we reduce some of that through delegation? We want to ensure that, you're offloading that mental load. We have so much in our own lives, from children to pets to, I know a lot of people have kids going back to school at the moment, like all of that mental load in your personal life and all the business things on top as well, that can really have a huge impact. So let's have a look at how we can reduce some of this so that, you can finally take that holiday mid-year. You can finally book things in and have time off along the way. So over to you guys again, because I've been talking a lot. So here's a question. Let's have a look at if you should keep a task or if you should delegate a task. So if you've got a piece of paper, if you've got an email up, or even like a physical notebook, because I'm more of a paper type person, write on your list if what tasks did you think of before? So everyone who had, those settlement congratulation calls, quoting, sending out documents, doing market research, social media, Hamish's iron, cooking, shopping, and washing. Are those tasks that you want to keep, or are those tasks that you want to delegate? Our rule of thumb is if something is repeatable, we can turn it into a process. Once you turn it into a process, you can teach someone else how to do it. And then you decide if that is something that you wish to delegate. Some people, you're just like, I could totally delegate my laundry, but I don't want to because I enjoy doing it. And that's totally cool too. So let's have a look at the things that you should keep or delegate. Any ideas? Over to you guys. Drop that into the chat. So I know everyone's still paying attention and haven't fallen asleep on me. That'd be fantastic. So I want you guys to really take away from today what successful delegation look like. What are some of these clear processes you can have? Okay, so that would be step-by-step procedures, or perhaps even like a process map could be, something that you could draw. You could define your expectations as well. That could be a action that you want to take out of today's session, by ensuring that when you do, whether instruct ChatGPT or instruct someone else, to clearly define what outcome you want, as well as providing that consistent support to take things off your plate permanently. And remember, it's all about not delegating that task. It's the outcome that we want to delegate as well. So one of my favorite, I guess, things that I do in business coaching is talking to people about the stop, the start, and the keep. Has anyone heard of this before? If you have, give me a smile or a nod. Excellent. Thank you, Maya. And thank you, Kate. Yes. So the things that you should stop doing, the things that you need to start doing, which is, like transferring that responsibility, and the things that you should keep doing, which is building systems. So please take a moment and start to write down what are your takeaways from today. I've given you guys so many examples of what we are actually doing in the business. So what do you need to stop doing today? Write one thing down that you're going to stop doing. For me, the one thing I'm going to stop doing is, what do I need to stop doing? I think I need to stop overbooking my calendar. That's one thing I'll stop doing. We've had a busy couple of weeks, so we have not allowed many break times. So I'm going to definitely stop doing that. Things that we're going to start doing. The things that I would love to start doing is probably more webinars like this to be able to share more examples. A lot of the feedback I got from a lot of my clients in recent weeks, I've been calling everyone as we've started the new year and everyone's back on deck now. But the regular feedback I have is, oh, your virtual assistants are doing this for you. I'd love it if my virtual assistant did it for me as well. Can you show me how? So what we'd like to do at the moment is start to transfer some of this knowledge by maybe creating some YouTube shorts or other reels to start doing that. The things that we want to keep doing is we want to keep sharing reels. We've been getting a lot of video testimonials lately at the moment, and we want to keep building on the systems that are working. Our Facebook ads are working, our Instagram and our reels and things like that. So we're just going to keep doing that. So those are my examples. Write some for yourself. What are you going to stop doing? What are you going to start doing? And what are you going to keep doing to make that shift? Okay. All right. Let's have a look at some of our comments. So yes, let's mowing lawns. Keep all the other gardening except for mowing lawns up. Sorry, you're going to keep mowing the lawns and delegate everything else. Excellent. That's a good one. We're going to delegate admin and opening files. Excellent. Good. Yes. We don't enjoy anything to do with sitting down with your computer except creating concept sketches. All right. Well, if we don't like doing it, let's try to work out how do we stop doing it. And obviously that's not possible because you've got to run the business. So how do you delegate it? Who can you delegate it to? It could be an AI automation. It just could be reducing time in that area, or it could be, getting a virtual assistant or someone else in your business to be able to help you. If virtual assistants are right for your business, they can help, but if they're not right for your business right now, another way to get people to help out as well is by sharing your knowledge. In the past, I've had interns work for me in my business. They come from university or TAFE, and they're usually looking for like an opportunity to get into the job market. So, you can usually get an intern as well to help out. So we can be as creative as we want when it comes to delegation. We need to stop saying yes to projects that we know we won't enjoy. That's all about setting boundaries. If we know that there is something that we probably shouldn't say yes to, we need to be able to know how to say no. The word no is actually a really hard thing to do. So instead, what I like to do is yes, but like, oh, we could, however, that's not what we do. One that we get all the time is, can I get a virtual assistant for 10 hours a week? And it's just like, oh, we could find a part-time virtual assistant. However, I find my retention isn't great when it comes to part-timers as they have 3 other jobs. You can try to accommodate, but then at the end of the day, it's like a no, but it's like a disguised no. That's I guess my trick. Keep at your Instagram growth. Excellent. If something worked well, keep doing it. Start being conscious of time spent. Yes. Being conscious of your time spent is a really good one, guys, because sometimes, have you ever like sat down to write an email and then perhaps like 30 minutes later, you're still writing that same email? We just want to be conscious of how much time we're spending on certain tasks as well. Excellent. Tell someone, unfortunately, you don't have availability. with 0 bookings for that weekend. Yes, excellent. So, and then as you start to have more boundaries, you actually train your clients and your customers on what they need to do. It's not a last minute thing. It's like, I need a minimum of X amount of time. So once you start to say no, and once you train and educate them, you'll have less of that reactive type work, as opposed to if you just always fit them in and you always let that last minute thing come in, they know that they can just call you last minute and beg for you to do it, and you'll just say yes. So it's all about setting those clear boundaries. So guys, if delegation hasn't worked before, know that it can with the right strategies. Start by fixing your structure. Start by ensuring that you have that standard process. It doesn't matter if you're the only person in your business, or you have a small team, or you have a team of 100. You still need that structure. A house isn't built without its foundations, which means your business is also not built without that right structure. We want to ensure we have clarity as well. Make sure it actually makes sense, and not have all these large words, or like, you're making sure that every contingency is in there. And protect your time. Time is one of your most precious assets. It is your most precious assets, because once you use it, you can't get it back. Every minute, every hour, every week that you invest of your time is not something that you can get back, but you can delegate to allow you to focus on the higher level work. Alrighties. So that was a whole heap of information. I would love if you guys can take away something from today, where you are going to do something that I have shared, an example. If you came up with your own idea, what are your takeaways from today? And if you'd love to catch up with me and learn a little bit more about how we work, AC is going to drop a link there to our landing page, where you can find out a little bit more about me, a little bit more about the work that we do. And if you fill out that questionnaire thing, it also takes you to my booking page, and we'll also drop our booking link in the chat box too. But now it is over to you guys to have a look at let's have a look at some of these comments. Please take yourself off mute. I've talked now for 41 minutes, so I'm going to take a drink of water. But please, I'd love to hear from you guys if we've got any questions in the room. Yes, may I stop, start, keep doing? That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Can I put you on the spot, Maya, and ask what's one thing you're going to stop doing today, start doing today, and continue doing?
Well, I'm going to stop saying yes to a lot of things.
Boundaries, love it.
Yes, putting boundaries together. I think I've started a lot of what I want to be doing, and I'm going to continue to delegate. I think one of the key things ends up being that, sometimes we yes people. So now working on the delegating.
Good. That's excellent. And can I get anyone else who might want to share as well? Priyanka, Diana, Kate, anyone want to share? Take yourself off mute. Hello, Priyanka.
Hi. I have the same takeaway as Maya mentioned, and it's actually something I have already learned from you in the past. But I also liked the fixer. I opened that tab to check out. So that's another tactical takeaway for me. Yeah. I think I already know a lot of things thanks to my sessions with you. So it really is about following everything that we discussed.
Yeah, I think it's about implementation, right? Like the analogy that a lot of business coaches use, I learned this from Tony Robbins actually recently. It's, how everyone goes on this health kick at the start of the year, and it's all about, like, let's call it weight loss. And then everyone knows how to do it. Everyone knows that, you got to hit the gym, you got to eat well, you got to move, you got to sleep, you got to drink water, you have to do all these things. But then when you don't implement, it doesn't turn into reality. And that's the same thing with our business. We need to actually do the implementation, do those actions.
I Okay, I'm just going to do a plug-in. This is probably not something you wanted, but seriously, if anyone wants to work with Trisha, I can highly recommend. It's that implementing the 1% is what I have been very happy with over the course of, I would say, 1 year now. Yeah, so that's been really helpful and useful for me in terms of working with you. So,
Fantastic. Oh, thank you, Priyanka,
and
for
your
that.
mug as well.
And you have my mug. Excellent. And that implementing that 1% is actually from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the 1% that he talks about actually is the ice cube analogy. Have you guys heard the ice cube analogy? Which is essentially imagine a freezer. In that freezer, it's negative 40 degrees. So you've got a cube of ice. And of course, it's going to be frozen. But then, negative 39 degrees, negative 38 degrees, this thing is still frozen. It's not until it goes to 0 to 1, but that 1 degree shift the whole entire time doesn't do anything to melt that ice cube. It's only when it goes from 0 to 1 degree that the ice cube melts. So in business, my takeaway there is all these things that we do, if we don't see the result yet, it's because your ice cube hasn't melted. So let's keep at it and melt our ice cube is the analogy. But yeah, Atomic Habits by James Clear is that book. 1% better every day. Fantastic. Anyone else want to share? Oh, I stopped sharing my screen. Thank you. And anyone else wish to share something that they want to stop doing, start doing, or keep doing? What about you, AC? Let's hear from you. You've been quiet there. That's abnormal. So, in a nice way, guys, in a nice way.
Yeah, probably I'll stop doing is not taking breaks for after a long period of working, because I feel like sometimes I find myself more efficient if I keep doing things. So I need to pause. And then yeah, I think I'll start doing having looking at my mental health more and my physical health more. So I gained a lot of weight last year. So yeah, I need to rock up to the gym and get myself shaped up again.
That's it. And I mean, we can't help others without helping ourselves first. So we always need to look after ourselves. Fantastic. What about you, Kate? What's something that you're going to start doing, stop doing, or keep doing?
Well, as some of you know, I do have another business, and yeah, one of the things that I will stop doing is being so hands-on on the everyday things like emails. I need to work out a way to systemize all of that to be able to hand it over so I can do what I do best, which is being out there and growing the business, whether it's on a Mintrix side or a Metaman side.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Kate, for sharing that. And maybe we can hear from a couple others as well. Diana, you haven't shared yet. Do you mind taking yourself off mute and sharing with us what's something that you might start doing, keep doing, or stop doing?
So I've got two. I'm like AC, I don't take lunch breaks. So I got to start taking lunch breaks because it's walking away from the screen. Because you can sit there and keep responding to emails and getting back to everyone and getting all the settlements done. But you don't realize that when you actually walk away from the screen and have lunch, things tend to resolve itself, or you come back to a whole mess. So I think that's when you get to a point where you go, nah, not taking lunch. I want this sorted before I go, which then gets delayed. And then before you know it, it's 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And another thing of mine is to actually schedule in time to code my documents into the system, which then helps the whole process of getting those docs out from the system. So to the client. So I'm sure Rosa knows what it's like.
Excellent.
So,
And I
yeah.
think that's all part of efficiency. One of the things that I code is my calendar. Everything gets a color. so that my team
Yeah.
knows what to do. For example, red is my networking BNI meetings, which means that, there's certain things that you do for a one-to-one meeting, like send a gain sheet and do a follow-up afterwards. If it's a Mintrix virtual assistant discovery call, AC will draft the correct email afterwards and we customize that. So yeah, just by categorizing things, it helps streamline that. So thank you for sharing.
It's more for like, because we data entry into the system and then getting those codes into the actual Word document templates that we have to be able to avoid manually doing it. So it's just making that time to actually do that. So we'll get there.
Yes, time. It's always
That's it.
yeah, it's always that elusive time.
Yeah.
Alrighties. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing today. I might just stop the recording now, but if you could just stay on for a little bit longer, just turn off this recording now. So thank you, everyone.